Thanks for getting here on time with me, YouTube. I appreciate it more every day. This is the latest news I have on the latest person of interest in the Delphi murders, Thomas Bruce. Of course, he was arrested last week in connection to a case where the suspect had taken 3 women into a back room at gunpoint at a Catholic supply store to then rape them. He shot one in the head for not complying with his demands. He went to court today. Now, at this time, I found no video of it, but he did go before the judge. Now, at court, there was a friend of Jamie Schmidt, the woman who was shot in the crime down there in St. Louis. And Thomas Bruce said very little, aside of telling the judge that he wanted a public defender. We do not yet have a voice for Thomas Bruce to compare to the Delphi audio, but it will be coming in a short time. I do want to know that this man, Thomas Bruce, owned handguns, and he shot and killed a woman for not complying with his vulgar orders. He had not broken the law in any big way in the past.
It's just one of those situations where we got a case that this person's never apparently committed a crime before. We have,
You would feel that? He had never committed a crime? He has no DNA in the database?
Well, I can't comment on that, but I'm just saying that's what it looks like. There's a possibility he's done something, but we can't find no traces of it.
He was 53. He was a pastor, which is kind of very odd given the nature of the crimes that he had committed down there, which include sodomy, and deviant sex, first-degree murder. It's just not very Christian-like. Now, he looks like the composite sketch, and he fits the description of the Delphi suspect, aside of the fact that his facial hair is gray. His head is shaved bald, but the hair that you can see on there looks rather gray as well. But in older photos, you can tell that he did have reddish-brown hair, going back. Now, he wore like apparel to the Delphi suspect when he committed the crime down in St. Louis. His crime in St. Louis was, it looks like, sexually motivated, as I believe the Delphi crime to have been. And he filed bankruptcy in January 2017 and resigned from his job shortly thereafter, and was probably between houses when the Delphi crime had occurred. Now, he does live 250 miles away from Delphi, and that is not close by. He would have had to have drove a vehicle to get to Delphi, and that defeats my theory that he did live in Delphi. However, that theory of mine only holds water if he did not have a vehicle. Now, law enforcement never once mentioned a vehicle used by the suspect, or asked the public in any way about a vehicle they may have seen in that area. Yet they asked public for help in finding the suspect. Now, there are reasons I don't like law enforcement, and this right here very well may be one of them. Law enforcement of Carroll County knows whether he committed the Delphi murders or not. I know they said it's going to take time to find out whether he's the suspect, but know this. They have 2 witnesses that seen the suspect there that gave the description for the sketch. They can look at the mugshot of Thomas Bruce and say, yes, that's the man I seen there that day. Or, no, that is not the man I seen there that day. Now, I assure you, they've already done this. They have. And they know whether Thomas Bruce is Bridge Guy or not. Now, I doubt that they would tell the families, at this time. But, they probably would tell the families in secret, right before they filed the charges and it went to a press conference. But I don't think that they would tell the families at this time that or not. Now, his location and vehicle use is all this throwing me off of calling him the suspect here. But aside of those 2 things, he does fit the bill. He really does. So here's what we're looking at time-wise and how long it's going to take for us to know for sure whether Thomas Bruce committed the Delphi murders. Now, they could go after murder charges on this for many different reasons. or by evidence, but I think that the direction they're going to go and use is the DNA. But of course, getting the DNA would be the one that would take the longest. Now, I guess that what's good about this is down in St. Louis, he may be facing the death penalty. Now, they've called for that charge down there. Now, one thing that they will normally do, and I think in a case like this, where he could be suspect or is suspect in a differing case that's maybe a little higher profile, is they could give him a choice. Like, well, we decided we're going to go after death unless you just, like, you know, admit to the whole crime, woo-up-de-woo, and then we'll go after life behind bars without parole. And they could do that. He could accept that, and that would get DNA a lot quicker. But that's still months away. You know, that's still a long way out. Now, if Delphi has fingerprints, that's another avenue that they could use, but I'm sure that they've already looked at those fingerprints down there if they have fingerprints in Delphi. I don't know, but I mean, they could. I mean, many murder charges have been, been filed just on fingerprints alone. And, of course, they have the two witnesses that could say whether it's him or not. Now, it's doubtful that they would use the witnesses, but they could use the witnesses if they wanted to hasten up the speed of the charges faster, but it's pushing 2 years. And if I know how law enforcement will, do this, they'll probably wait right to the 2-year mark and then file. So we may be looking at about February 13th before we even see charges filed on this. But this is the man that we need to be looking at right now. He fits the person of interest higher than anybody at this time, right down to never committing a major crime before. So anyway, I'm keeping my eye on Thomas Bruce, and I will let you know what I know. Thank you all for being here. I will catch you in my next video. Peace.